Jeff, you're a true professional. You've given us a perfect segue from the Baker Mayfield situation and Lincoln Riley having to deal with that, and that being his first major situation to decide on as a head coach there at Oklahoma. He's, of course, extremely young for that type of position at an elite program. But first, let's close the books on Bob Stoops. That had to be a surprise. I think it was a surprise for College Football Nation that a guy that appeared to be basically in his prime for a football coach, 56 years old, who has dominated the Big 12 in recent years, who seems to be, despite the offensive firepower that's lost to this team, to be in good shape to again win the Big 12, most likely to get to a college football playoff, just had a great recruiting class that he would step away at this point.
No, it is by far the biggest shock. I've been here covering the sports in this state for about a year now. And so that meant I got here right when Kevin Durant left the Thunder. And I asked my sports director on the day of when Bob Stoops did announce this retirement a couple of weeks ago, how do those two stories compare? Because, I think people who work in the sports media industry, it's interesting to kind of compare. Well, what do you think is the bigger story? And by far, it's Bob Stoops more than Kevin Durant. And it was shocking. It was shocking to get that call at 2 p.m. Hey, oh, by the way, Bob Stoops is retiring. We need you to, sprint down there to Norman for this. And I think a couple reasons it was shocking was, he is young, like you said, 56 years old, relatively. We see guys just in the Big 12. You've got Bill Snyder, who's much older than Bob, who used to be Bob's boss, and he's still going at it. And the fact that Stoops only has that one national title, you wanted to I think a lot of people are regretful that they didn't get to see him win a second national title. Now, one thing, as you said, I had a good segue there. Another segue into Lincoln Riley. One of the reasons he said that he was able to do this and wanted to do this now is because he felt that the right guy was there in Riley, and he didn't want Riley to get scooped up somewhere else.
Yeah. So what is the basic Sooner Nation thought about? Certainly sad that Bob Stoops has made this decision, but I get the feeling that everybody's pretty comfortable with Lincoln Riley and what he has shown in his brief career.
No, they really are. And that was really clear from the start. And it was fascinating, the press conference, to see, how it was, we're saying farewell to one guy and bringing in the other one. And it was a true celebration. People were happy Lincoln Riley's taken over. And I think even in just these first couple of weeks, the proof has been there that, people are confident in him. Whether it's the recruits, they haven't lost many recruits that were committed under Stoops. Now that Stoops is retired, he's been able to keep most of those guys on board. He made his first big coaching hire on his staff last week. Ruffin McNeil, who was his former boss as head coach at East Carolina, he brought him in to help Mike Stoops on the defense, Bob's brother, who is staying on as the defensive coordinator. And that's really the issue point, the point of improvement that OU needs to make is on defense. Riley's going to keep calling the plays as the head coach, and I don't think people doubt that OU, just like OSU, OU is going to score the football. But their defense is where the issue was, especially when you look at that Texas Tech game last year where Mike Stoops' team got shattered pretty much one-handedly by Patrick Mahomes. So if they can improve that there, I think people are already wondering, what would it be like if Riley led them to a national title this year? How would that reflect on Stoops' legacy? So it'd be interesting. And Stoops actually won his national title in his second year with OU. So not out of the question.
You hit on an important point, and that's continuity. So sometimes there's a shift in direction of a program because a longtime standing coach leaves and the staff falls apart. The new coach comes in. It's a completely different environment and vibe and direction for that entire program, and specifically that football team, and all those players have to adjust to. But in this sense, you already had Lincoln Riley in place. He was already an integral part. He had gained respect. You talk about the defense with under Mike Stoops. I get their names confused at times. You got Mark Stoops with Kentucky, Mike Stoops. And that continuity stays in place. So the team has to be, the players individually have to be pretty comfortable with the continuity staying in the program pretty much being what it was. And I wouldn't necessarily expect to see drastic change going forward.
You froze on me for a second there. But yeah, not only the coaching staff staying the same, but you're bringing back your quarterback. And you have your quarterback and your offensive coordinator, who's now your head coach. And they're the guys that are the key to this team, whether Bob Stoops was there or not. Those are the guys that give OU a chance to maybe contend to make it to the college football playoff. So having those guys back, that's huge.